killer who may be in this room. We believe you are hiding in plain sight.
Keep your babies close to you. There's someone out there.
What's up, Mob Crew? I'm Chris, and today's missing person case is Don. Also, today's person of interest is Olivia. Today's missing person case is also today's missing person case is Courtroom.
What's going on there, ma'am? We have a kidnapping. Hurry, please.
What's up, Mob Crew? If you guys can hear me, please put a 1 in the chat. Just make sure this is going good. Just using StreamYard today, so always a little bit slow with running this platform. Good to see everybody. It is early. I was an hour late. Had the wrong time set. I thought it was on this hour that the court was going to start, but I guess it already happened. But that's okay because we got all of the updates, and I'm going to try to see if I can get this live feed going on real quick. See if we can catch the end of this. Steve's going to join us here any second. Let me see if this is still playing live real quick. Okay, let me know if you guys can hear that okay. Sounds a little low. Okay, I think it's a little low. Okay, let me crank it up real quick. Here we go. Let's see how's that. Oh yeah, much better. Maybe a little too loud. Turn down just a little bit. Okay, so this is a live from just outside the courthouse. So just to let you guys know, it sounds like it's a good possibility they are going to release it. It's going to be redacted though to some degree. That's what they're saying. Okay, there's Steve. Let me add him. Hey Steve, how you doing, buddy?
Doing fine, sir. How are you?
Good to see you, bub. I'm just trying to catch this last part of this live feed. Let me know if you can hear this. They're saying no.
No, I don't have any sound.
Okay. No problem. Stop that. Share screen. Window. Hopefully I can get this last part. If not, I'll just download it and then we can play it. If not, share system audio. Window. Boom. Okay, let's try that one more time.
Nope. No sound.
No sound. Okay, that's okay. We'll it's almost finished, and then so we'll just play the whole thing over because it's kind of halfway into it anyway. So anyway, they just got out of court. We'll play a couple of videos showing what's going on. Let me add one more window real quick. It's early. Bear with me, guys. I am so used to my other platform here. screen. There we go. Share screen. Second window. Okay. And that. Here we go. Okay, let me pull these all over here. Okay, almost ready. All right, so let me just add these in. I'm sorry, guys. I was hoping to catch that last little bit.
Welcome to my world, Chris. This is minimal to what happens on my show.
Okay, so here we go. We'll
In
play
just
this one here.
4 hours, more developments are expected in the Delphi murder investigation.
There is a hearing at 9 o'clock to determine if the public should know the probable cause for Richard Allen's arrest. Our Samantha Johnson is live in Delphi this morning. And Sam, we expect to see Allen physically in today's hearing today, right?
That's right, Julia, and that's because we know a special judge in this case specifically requested that Allen be here in person at the Carroll County Courthouse later this morning for that hearing. And this will be the first time that we see Allen since his arrest back on October 26th. Now, right now, we know Allen is in custody of the Indiana Department of Correction, charged with 2 counts of murder in the 2017 deaths of Abby Williams and Libby German. Here's what else we know right now. In a handwritten letter to the court, Allen asked for a public defender and went on to say that he is begging for legal assistance. So this morning, we know he will have 2 attorneys representing him. And court records show Bradley Anthony Rosity of Logansport is the lead attorney, and the other attorney is Andrew Joseph Baldwin of Franklin. We know both of those men were appointed by the court. Now, today's hearing is scheduled for 9 o'clock this morning. We plan to be inside that courtroom. So, Julia, as soon as we have an update from the judge in this case, we'll bring it to you both on air and online.
No sound. No sound. Not even from you, Chris.
Okay, there we go.
There you go.
Man, it's been a while since I used StreamYard. Okay, bear with me, guys. Okay, so prosecutors say Richard Allen may have not acted alone. Defense calls evidence flimsy. So we were just talking about that before we started. That's huge. What do you think of that?
It is huge. It opens doors and speculations to the web sleuths, crime world, and he'll have to have some basis to have said that, and which brings on why did they act and make the arrest when they did. So there's a lot of questions to be answered.
And then it goes on to say, and then you can kind of explain this. So a judge decided to make the motion to release court documents on the deaths of the 2 Delphi teenagers under advisement. The judge said she would release an order at a future time during a hearing Tuesday, which we just had. A bond hearing is for Richard Allen is set for February 17th. That's his bond hearing. That's not in relationship to the probable cause. Now, in this article that was playing live, which I'm going to try to get the full video here in a minute, it does say that they believe that the probable cause is going to be released sometime soon, not today, but it will probably be redacted. But you were talking about that motion. Did you want to talk about that?
The document has been filed with the court is simply a motion. It's nothing concrete. This is just what the defense and the prosecution, they'll go in, they'll make certain motions. The prosecution in this case has made the motion, and that's all it is. They're asking the court to decide on their motion and making an order of the court. There's a difference between a motion and an order of the court. The judge will take the motion, look at it, may accept some of it, may accept all of it, may just throw it out and say, no, this is something that should be made public, and create their own order. And so when the judge makes that decision, and it can be in the future, it can be in the next 10 minutes, or it can be tomorrow or next week. I don't think it's going to be that long, because there's a lot of, to have confidence in our judicial system, the public has to be advised and kept abreast. And no one likes this stuff that's behind closed doors. It's not open to the public, because we wouldn't want to be in that. We wouldn't want to be in Richard Allen's position, and everything being sealed and the public not knowing. So I don't think it's going to be that long before the court makes an order.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. So here's a video of him going into court this morning. He had a jacket over him, but I'm sure he was had some kind of bulletproof vest on, it looked like. And then we have, let me play so you guys can see it full screen. Go ahead and move that over. Video file.
These are grandparents.
As always, it's an honor to have the captain in. Somebody I used to watch way before I was a YouTuber. That's the grandparents of Libby. Good morning, True Crime with Shanna. Good to see you. Then let's see, I got a couple others. Let me remove that. And here we got Richard Allen leaving the courthouse. Not looking too good. Go back on there. So we were talking before the show. You had, and did you send it via email by chance?
Yes.
Okay. I'll look at it after this. One of the things that we haven't really seen is, an actual height chart with Alan standing next to it. But you had got a picture that shows him standing next to, because they usually go off those concrete blocks that are, you say, 8 inches apart.
I had seen other height charts, but the ratio of the distances between the markers didn't line up with the bricks or the brick and mortar that a brick mason would use on those blocks. Mm-hmm. And the chart I saw today is actually one that does line up correctly with the ratio.
Interesting. Yeah, so we'll, as soon as this is over, we'll look at that. And I know people are just waking up and coming in. And we'll recap everything. There's still, like I said, I want to play that video. I'm sure it's going to be uploaded to YouTube in a minute. It's just basically WTH, I believe that is, or what channel is that? WTHR 13. Was outside. They just did like a, 20-30 minute little interview after this little court hearing, which they kind of talked about what's coming up. So we will try to snag that video here in just a minute. Let's look at that height chart real quick, and then okay, there it is. Go ahead and save it. Okay, yeah, I have seen that one.
The other ones that had that chart in it were, and this one may have been out for a while, but it's the first time I saw it was today. But this one is accurate as far as
you think this one's
as far as the block. If you look at the the mortar seams, blocks are, I think 7 5/8, and then a 3/8 inch mortar seam makes 8 inches. Brick masons are into this mathematics, and everything's built that when you try to build a building and everything for construction wise, there's certain rules that go by. And this chart ratio on the wall is correct. Those are 2-inch markers.
Okay. Yeah, I think a lot of people probably have seen this.
But I seen one with one in it earlier that first came out, and it was off. It was off by an inch or so. But this one is correct.
Okay, pulling it up right now. All right. So I think a lot of people have seen this one. I was a little skeptical on it just because it looked like the photograph was kind of not straight head on. You know, it kind of looked like it was a little, you know, kind of angled up. Maybe that's just because he's got his head kind of.
But on the left side, you can see where the markers are at the bottom one you see is just above the mortar line. That's below the mortar line, and the one that above it is just under the mortar line. That's an 8-inch block, and that's what it's supposed to be. And so that's accurate. So he's not quite 5'4", but like most of us, we always edge out that extra ½ inch or so.
Right. So this would be 5'3" right here.
No, that's 5'2".
Oh, this one's 5'2". Okay.
And so the other one would be
5'4". Okay, gotcha. Interesting. Yeah, I thought because there was somebody, it was like a fellow employee that said the employee was 5'7", and then he said he felt like Richard Allen was like an inch or two shorter than him. So I always kind of guessed around 5'5", 5'6", but he doesn't look very tall. No. So 5'4", kind of interesting. We always kind of thought he was in the 5'6", 5'8" range. So if you're just tuning in, we'll read this article and we'll jump over to Twitter. I'm sure they've got some updates going here. So I'll just read this one more time, and then I'm going to try to find this live. I don't know why it's not playing. Let me see if I can get it to go one more time here. Remove it. Present. Okay, I gotta stop screen. Present. Share screen. Share system audio. Oh, I just figured it out. Okay. I know why you guys couldn't hear it. Okay, figured it out. Awesome. Woohoo. Okay, should be able to hear it now. Okay, now it disappeared. Where'd he go? Oh, not this one. The one we just watched. Okay, let me pull it back up here. WDHR 13. Okay, here it is. Okay. All right, let me redo it one more time. I don't know why I just switched over to that, but we got it. Okay. Present. Judge assigned to release on. Okay, so there. Share system audio, Chrome tab. Okay, should work this time. Perfect. Okay, here we go.
Own every mile at the Hyundai Getaway Sales.
That sound good.
Best deals of the season.
Okay,
get in.
Here we go.
Good morning. I'm Anne-Marie Tiernan joining you live along with Bob Siegel.
You guys hear that okay?
Yes, that sound.
Where for the first time today, we were able to see the suspect in the Delphi murder case, Richard Allen, head into court. There were a couple key issues that he was arguing. And Bob, tell us a little bit about the scene today and what you believe was the biggest news.
Well, the scene started. It was a packed courtroom today. Just about every seat. They left the front row seats open, but otherwise every other seat was filled in that courtroom. And we got to see Richard Allen walk into the court today. He is the defendant, right?
I'm going to turn up just a little bit. Just So I know it's kind of on the low end. Here we go.
Now the only defense.
Oh. I guess I actually have to move the booster to allow it to work.
Named in the Delphi Murders, and he walked in a yellow prison jumpsuit, both his hands and his ankles in chains. He was accompanied by his attorneys. To me, the biggest moment that came out during this hearing today, which was about whether to release public records, was a statement that was made by the prosecutor. And we've heard before,
Low for Pam. Okay.
kind of, allusions to the fact that investigators.
Yeah, it is a little low. Okay. This volume booster. Okay, turn off. Let me reset it. That might be the problem here. Okay. There we go.
Someone else
Sorry.
who might have been involved in the killings, and we heard.
There we go.
Conference a few weeks ago, they said
Still low.
Investigation to see if there's any large mouth involved. Today, the prosecutor told the judge, in trying to argue why the case and the records should remain sealed, he said, "We believe Richard Allen is not the only actor involved in this. To date, that is the most."
So that's huge.
It is.
That's
But now we
really
have
huge.
to know about what is an actor.
Yes. That is crazy. And that's the prosecution. That's not the defense saying that. That's the prosecution.
Yes.
Direct statement so far by investigators or the prosecutor that they believe that these murders were not committed by one single person.
So two big issues coming into the courtroom today. One is the probable cause affidavit. Are those records going to be released? And was he granted bail? He's being held without bail, saying that the case was flimsy against him. What were the decisions on that?
Well, first we'll deal with the bail issue. It was just a request late in the day yesterday by Richard Allen's attorneys to grant bail and to ask the judge.
You can hear it, but it's very low.
That's actually now going to take place in
Okay.
February. The judge said that.
All right, let me back it up. Okay, I'm going to reset it. That I think what happened is the volume booster is working on my end. So I'm like, it's blowing my ears out, but it's not. Okay, I'm just going to reset it. That's all I'm going to do. I think because I didn't have the volume booster on. It's only working for me. Man, that's why I love my StreamYard. Or not my StreamYard. I love my my Streamlabs. Okay. All right, this is with the volume booster on. Yeah, we'll back it up a little bit.
The prosecutor that they believe that these
No difference.
were not committed by one single person.
No difference?
So two big issues coming into the courtroom today.
I mean, you can
One
hear
is
it, but
probable
the
cause
people will just have to turn their own
affidavit.
volume
Those
up on the
records gonna be
computers.
released.
Okay.
And was he granted bail? He's being held without bail, saying that the case was flimsy against him. What were the decisions on that?
Well, first we'll deal with the bail issue. It was just a request late in the day yesterday by Richard Allen's attorneys to grant bail and to ask the judge to have a bail hearing. That's actually now going to take place in February. The judge said that she will hear that. She wanted to leave plenty of time, and the court's dockets, the judge and the courtroom, the availability, it's not going to be until after the holidays and in February that's going to happen. On the issue of whether to release the documents, the judge heard from both Richard Allen's attorneys as well as from the prosecutor. She heard the evidence. She got some evidence and heard their testimony and why they think that it either should or should not be released, the probable cause affidavit. She's taking that under advisement, and she said she will rule on that. We believe nothing is going to come out on that today, whether it's tomorrow, whether it's after Thanksgiving. We're not sure, but we expect it to be within the next 10 days.
We're used to the wheels of justice turning slowly.
Yes.
Thank you. I'm going to check back with you in a little bit about what happens next, but I do want to bring in, we're just going to hand over the mic here, situation like this. Thank you so much, Sam Johnson.
Yeah,
We
she
were able to
talks.
see the suspect in
Oops.
the Delphi murder.
Yeah, as Bob mentioned, there were a couple key takeaways. Obviously, one of them being the fact that the prosecutor didn't believe that Richard Allen wasn't the only one in this case. So that's one.
Okay, yeah. So volume is maxed.
Of the main takeaways. Something else to point out too, he presented the judge 4 pieces of what he considered to be key evidence in this fight to keep these documents sealed. And one of them, the third aspect of this that he submitted, was actually a written letter from Becky Patty. And of course, that's the grandmother of Libby German. That letter was asking the judge and the court to keep those documents sealed. The other thing that the prosecutor submitted today was a petition, and it had more than 40,000 signatures on it from community members who agreed that the documents should be sealed. And one other quote that caught my attention from the prosecutor, a lot of people have been saying, well, it's in the public's interest to release those documents, to unseal them so we know what actually happened. The prosecutor said that is the public interest, finding justice for Libby and Abby. He said, and if we release those documents, it could interfere, so to speak, with that investigation at this point. So that was his argument. On the flip side, a few of the key takeaways from the defense attorney, they were saying, a lot of this, when you look at similar cases, past cases, this is a unique case nonetheless, but he said it's at this point causing a practical problem, is what he called it, because at this point we're creating more question and more stir about what actually happened rather than just putting the facts of the case out there. So that was one of his key arguments, of course, on behalf of Richard Allen.
And their indication was that they do not have a strong case against Richard Allen.
That's exactly right. And we actually got the chance to talk to both defense attorneys afterwards. And we asked them, we said, what is it in the documents that you've been able to read that points to your client? And he kind of gave us this shrug, and he said, you can answer that question when you read it for yourself too.
Okay, so we'll pause it there for a minute and just kind of recap for those that might not be hearing it as well. I don't know why. I've got the volume boosters up and it works for me. And it worked last time. That's weird. But anyway, so they're just talking about what went on in court, and more importantly, what they asked the defense attorneys, what they feel like, what do they have against Richard Allen, and how strong is the case? And they feel like the defense attorneys felt like they don't have much on him, and feel like they use the word flimsy. And of course, then to add on, the prosecution does think there is another party involved, or actor, as they used, which is a very interesting word.
Because as they're concerned, there is not that direct evidence there. So certainly from both sides, an important day. And as Bob mentioned too, we're going to wait to hear that announcement from the judge, depending on which way she makes that order.
Yeah. Karen Cam, I'd love you to come in and join our conversation here.
Does that turn it up or down when I do that?
The mood in the courtroom.
It stays about the same. It doesn't really have any effect.
And the whole scene there.
Okay.
I mean, this is big goings on anywhere, especially in small town Indiana.
Yeah. So the mood, it was an interesting mood. Right?
Oh, and she talks even softer.
Security, first of all, was extremely tight. There were police officers, sheriff deputies, not just outside the courtroom, on all 3 levels of the courtroom, outside, inside the courtroom. The judge had requested everyone be silent. She wanted all attention to be focused on what's happening in the courtroom. Now, the families of Libby and Abby, they were seated, like Bob said, in the second row. When the suspect, Richard Allen, walked into the room, he didn't make any contact with any members of the family, any members of the audience. So when you talk about the mood inside that courtroom, I mean, you could almost hear a pin drop, but everyone was so focused on what this judge was going to determine. Of course, you heard Bob say we're going to have to wait for that decision. But everyone was just so focused. Everyone was so focused in that courtroom.
So that was in
Okay, I'm going to pause it at a halfway point. I'm going to retry it one more time. See if... Okay, reset the volume booster. It worked when we did it with the press conference. It worked perfect. So I don't understand why. Chrome tab. Share audio's on.
You might have been in your other lab stream versus this one.
Yeah, it's almost like it's turning us up. It's weird. Okay, we're going to try this one more time.
In the courtroom, what happened afterwards? Did the family speak out that they had
Not really.
or did they decline at this time?
Well, we tried to wait for the family to come down to the first floor. Becky Patty walked past the cameras, and Samantha Johnson had asked Becky, about why you wanted to keep the documents sealed. we didn't get much, from the family. We didn't even see the family leave. Perhaps they didn't want to be interviewed today. Perhaps they wanted, they're trying to. So
So much build up to this time. Thanks so much, Karen, for your perspective. We're gonna bring in Bob for what happens next. And I know you've been following some of the legal aspects of this case closely. And when we're talking about these documents coming out, really arguments on both sides. Everybody wants justice. They just have a differing opinion of what's the best way to get there, it seems.
Absolutely, and that was really one of the more interesting parts of today's hearing. You heard the prosecutor. He argued the fact that in order to protect witnesses, some of which are juveniles in the case, in order to prevent chaos in the courtroom and things of that sort, and really to protect the ongoing investigation, that the records need to remain sealed. On the other hand, you have the defense saying the fact that we had a very orderly court hearing today is evidence that there does not need to be chaos in this case. And I thought that they made a compelling argument about the fact that there's so much interest in this case, and much of that interest is just growing at this point because of secrecy and the fact that the probable cause affidavit, which would theoretically explain why police believe Richard Allen is linked to the murders, that's been sealed, that's secret. And their argument is the longer that that's the case, the more likelihood that there could be chaos and even more heightened interest. So the judge is going to be weighing really the transparency versus the ability of the prosecutor.
Yes, it is low. I'm sorry, guys. I've tried the volume booster. All it does is actually boost me, and then I'm going to be screaming in your ears. I don't want that. But we'll kind of recap everything just after they're done.
To conduct, his case, and it's going to come down to whether the judge feels that the public interest outweighs the prosecutor's argument for why these documents should remain sealed. So she has several days to make her decision whether or not it comes before Thanksgiving or after Thanksgiving. At this point, we don't know the answer to that, but certainly a possibility will be that she will order the probable cause affidavit to be released with redactions. And in court today, we heard that.
Okay, so they just said that, at least according to them, they feel like it is going to be released sometime soon. But and this is the probable cause affidavit, but a redacted one. So that's kind of the big news.
The prosecutor offered up a copy of the probable cause affidavit with witness names redacted, and he asked the judge, if you are going to release the document, please do so with the witness information redacted there. So that seems like it could be a likely scenario.
So he's saying what may be redacted would be the witness statements on the probable cause.
That within the next few days, we will get the probable cause affidavit just with some information redacted.
Yeah. And you spoke with former prosecutor Jack Crawford yesterday, and certainly it was his prediction based on his long career and experience that that's exactly what's going to happen. It is going to be released. I mean, that was his argument.
Yes.
As a prosecutor, when the prosecutor here doesn't want it released.
Exactly.
Interesting.
It is. And, another interesting point that was made by the defense here is that all along in this case, investigators have been relying on the public to give tips and to weigh in with information to help them solve this crime. And the defense said it's ironic and perhaps somewhat backward at this point that now that we're at this point in the case, all of a sudden
shut the public out.
You want to keep that information from the public a secret. And they say if in fact there is someone else who might be responsible, you would, if you release information to the public, that gives them even more information to be able to weigh in on. So it is interesting. There are compelling arguments on each side. It'll be up to the judge to kind of weigh through all that and to decide which best serves the public interest when it comes to justice in this case.
Yeah, and finds the person who's responsible for taking those two young girls, Abby Williams and Libby German, from their community. I mean, 5 years ago, in their teens, in 8th grade, and certainly the search for justice is continuing on.
Still can't believe we're actually here, though. I mean, it still feels so surreal. What do you think, Steve?
Oh, it is. It is. I expect that the judge is going to consider that we might as well just, if there's certain information within that probable cause that might affect the arrest of someone else, then of course that's going to remain sealed. But the other, I think we're going to get some information because I think it's going to be relatively quick. This trial is going to probably not take place for a couple of years.
Sure.
But the judge still wants to just rip that bandage off and get all the hype out now rather than release it later when it's closer to trial. So I think that we're going to get some relatively quick.
Yeah, that makes sense. Kind of, release it, and then all the hype is now, and then it kind of dies down, and then that way when they're looking for, jurors, it's not as, it makes total sense.
It doesn't carry the same risk that closer to trial. And the defense has a great argument that, y'all relied upon public participation for so long, and now you don't want public participation. And so that's a great argument for the defense wanting this information released.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to play. It's just about 5 minutes more. Nope, not even that. 3 minutes more, and then we'll move on.
I do want to just ask, I have not seen Richard Allen in person. I've seen these pictures of this man along this trail. I've seen sketches. You saw him in person today. What was your observation of him?
Certainly he was very quiet. He did not show much expression on his face. Surrounded by security, wearing flak jackets, heavily armed. Individual, not very tall, slight stature, walking, and I could hear he was coming into the courtroom because the first thing you hear is the chains, both his feet and his wrists bound in chains. So to see him in person, he did not show a lot of emotion in court today. And we might not expect that. It was a procedural hearing today about the release of records, but it was our first opportunity to see him. And again, it's worth pointing out, his attorneys say police got the wrong guy. They insist that Richard Allen is innocent, and they say that they believe that when and if the probable cause affidavit is released, they say what's in there is flimsy, and that the evidence that is contained in that probable cause affidavit is not robust, not as robust as they would think that you normally see in a document that explains why someone is responsible for a heinous crime.
And the person who said that he did not act alone is attributed to whom today? When you said the biggest news that came out today, that was attributed to?
That was Nicholas McClellan. He is the prosecutor for Carroll County. And again, he said in court today, we do not believe that Richard Allen was the only actor involved in this.
So, okay, just to finish that last little bit, if you didn't hear it, he said that the prosecuting attorney, Nicholas McClellan, said that he believes that Richard Allen did not do this alone. So that's huge. I always felt like, Kline as a good person that comes to mind as far as a possible accomplice. Okay, so I've got a much better video that we can actually hear, which just came out. This is from, let's see, where did I save it to? I know it. Saved it to our show. There it is. Okay, so this is from Barbara McDonald.
Let's go to our own Barbara McDonald, host of Down the Hill, the Delphi Murders podcast, and HLN Special Investigations producer, who was just inside that courtroom. Barbara, what can you tell us?
Can you hear that good?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Good morning. I can tell you the hearing lasted about 30 minutes. Richard Allen was brought in. He was wearing a bright yellow prison jumpsuit with a bulletproof vest. He was shackled at his hands and feet. He had a chain wrapped around his chest area, and that's where his hands were shackled. So they were up pretty high, not down low, as you might expect. He came in with his attorneys. He sat down. Just before he did sit down, he did look into the gallery and made eye contact with several members of Abby and Libby's families who were sitting there. There were about 17 or 18 members of both families present for this hearing. Once the hearing got underway, Nick McLeland, the prosecutor for Carroll County, made several arguments about why this information should remain sealed. He presented 4 exhibits to the court regarding his argument, and basically he said there were 2 reasons why he wanted that information to remain sealed. One was to protect any witnesses that were mentioned in that document, and 2, because this is an ongoing and active investigation, and Mr. McLeland actually said in court that they have good reason to believe that Mr. Allen is not the only actor in this heinous crime, and that they are looking for anyone else who may be involved in this case, and that is why they want all of that information to remain sealed. The defense attorneys took a very different approach. They said that they are asking for transparency, that is the norm in these matters, and that Mr. Allen would like this information that is being used against him at this point to be made public. The defense attorneys did agree that the information about some of the witnesses, they don't have an objection to that being redacted, that some of the witnesses were described as being current minors. Some of them were minors at the time of their witness involvement. And
Okay, so I'm assuming everybody can hear this much better. I think I just figured it out. I should have been using the volume booster on this screen and not that one. So lesson learned. Like I said, I don't use StreamYard that much unless I have guests on, which is not very often. So my apologies for the first one, but she's just basically recapping in a much better tone of what we just kind of heard.
so the prosecutor in this case did present the judge with a redacted version of the probable cause affidavit for her to review. It was not entered into evidence at this point or listed as an exhibit, but she did say that she would consider that as part of her notes. Once the hearing wrapped up, the judge said that she would take all of this under advisement. She would go over her notes and case law and make a written ruling on whether or not the probable cause and charging documents in this case should remain sealed or whether they should be released to the public, and if so, how they should be released to the public, how much of a redaction there should be, whether she's going to agree with what the prosecutor presented her in court today or not. Now, we also talked about a bond hearing in this case. Within the last 48 hours, the defense attorneys did file for bond in this case or to have Mr. Allen released on his own recognizance. And the judge said that she would like to set a different hearing for that. That is going to happen on February 17th, which is just a few days after the anniversary of these murders, which were February 13th of 2017, the 6-year anniversary approaching. That's the week we're going to be back in court to find out whether Mr. Allen is going to get bond.
It kind of seems, no, I don't feel bad for him, especially if he is a bridge guy, but that does seem kind of out there. Is that norm for something like this? Or,
well, his chances of getting it, and the judge may be looking at, it really wouldn't matter if they had the bond hearing today, tomorrow, and they may have it pretty soon, but I know they set for the 17th. But
right.
He's not going anywhere regardless.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, it just seems kind of out there. Thank you so much, Michelle, for the $5 super sticker. You're so awesome. Thank you so much for supporting the channel.
But what she just said, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, you're good, buddy. Go ahead.
But what she just said about the prosecution has already given the judge a redacted version. Yep. At a minimum, we'll get that.
Yep,
If the
and
judge
I'm
absolutely agrees with the prosecution, we'll get the redacted that whatever they give or was presented to the judge today. So there will be something released.
yeah, and I'm gonna share something with you guys, which I think is kind of interesting. So there's something that came out just 14 minutes ago. So this came from Richard Allen's attorney. He says, if you read the probable cause affidavit, it does not mention anything about any other person. That was news to us. Quote. Sorry, you had a phone call. Hope you guys heard that okay. That's interesting because the prosecution is saying that they believe it's another person's involved, but Richard's attorney literally quoted saying, if you read the cause affidavit, it does not mention anything about any other person. So I guess if you're waiting and we get this, we're not going to hear about whoever they think else is involved, which I think is kind of interesting.
Oh, yeah.
I thought maybe that would kind of, so-and-so got in contact and they, decided to meet up here and then, A to B. So that's a little interesting.
You may be absolutely correct. That may be exactly right. I don't know.
Yeah. I'll take a screenshot of it. Like I said, it just came out. But thank you so much, Haley Shroop, for the $5 super sticker. Thank you so much for supporting this channel. I could not do it without your guys' support. So thank you so much. Okay, so we're about halfway into the interview here.
Or whether he would be allowed to be released on his own recognizance. His attorneys, in their motion filing for that bond, did say that they don't believe that there is enough evidence against him to hold him without bond, and that is why they are asking for him to be released either with a minimal bond or on his own recognizance. Now, there was initially, when this case was, when Mr. Allen was first arrested, there was a hearing set for January of 2023. That hearing has now been canceled, and that hearing will be blended into the bond hearing, which is scheduled again for February 17th of 2023. Also, right now, there is, from the original court calendar,
Oh, sorry. I had to pause that. I had an ad come up on one of my screens. Okay.
a trial scheduled for March. It is unknown at this time if anybody is going to be ready for a trial at that time. I do anticipate that will probably be moved, but the next time we're in court on this case is going to be in February of 2023.
Oh, wow. Okay, Barbara, just so much to break down there. A couple things stood out to me, and certainly I want to get to more on the advisement. But you caught my attention when you said that he made eye contact with the family. So before we get into some of these nuances, can you just paint a picture for us? Can you, were there any sounds uttered? How long was the eye contact? I mean, just for us, we've been waiting so many years, and then I can't fathom these two parties making eye contact.
Yeah, it was interesting. I was sitting with several of the family members, and we were in court for about an hour before the hearing began. And so we were talking, and many of them were sharing with me that they are looking at this and taking this information in and have not made any judgments yet about whether Richard Allen is guilty, whether he deserves to be charged with what he has been charged with. They are waiting to hear all of the evidence that the state has against him, just like the public is. The sheriff came in and also announced to everyone that there was an order of silence for the court proceeding today, and that anybody that made any sound out loud could be escorted from the courtroom. So once Mr. Allen was brought in and he made eye contact, I didn't hear anything. I didn't feel like that gasp or anything that anybody had. I think that the family members were genuinely curious to see how he was going to present himself. I don't know him. I didn't know him prior to these charges, but he definitely appeared curious. He made eye contact for several seconds, sort of scanned the two rows where the family members were sitting. He made eye contact with me because I was right next to some of the family members. And then once he did sit down, he was looking around the courtroom. It is a historic courtroom. It's a beautiful courtroom. And he seemed to be sort of taking in the architecture. He had attorneys flanking him on both sides, and he did not say a single word during today's proceeding.
Okay, so that's that. Thank you, Freya, for the 449 super sticker. Thank you so much for the support. You're awesome. I want to get to one question. This is Steve would be the best one to answer this. Gosh, it always has a volume in front of it. There we go. So in a probable cause, do they have to include everything if there's already enough to arrest?
Whenever you present your probable cause to the judge, when you're getting an affidavit, you're submitting it for the arrest warrant or the search warrant, you'll have a certain written probable cause, but the judge can always request additional verbal. We don't know what's in this probable cause. We don't know how much is written, such as with the Ron Logan search warrant. They wrote out a lot of probable cause in it. That's not always the case. Normally it's minimized, and then there's a lot of verbal that you won't have access to.
Interesting. Okay, just kind of going down here. Sure, just get caught up on the chat. Just give me a second, guys. I just make sure I didn't miss any questions. But yeah, great question, Wolf Goddess. How much difference is like a search warrant from a probable cause? Is that just kind of an extension? Just
probable cause means the same thing, regardless of any type of warrant that you get, either for arrest or for searches. It really doesn't matter. Probable cause is probable cause. You just got to convince the judge, issue it, and then we'll take it to the courts after that.
interesting. So Outcast says horrible district attorney and law enforcement not tell that a second killer loose.
Yeah, we're gonna have to decide what an actor is.
Yeah, that was really, maybe that was just according to, were they quoting, or was that just?
Well, I mean, there was more than one reporter said actor, so I would
I
would assume that was the word used by the prosecutor.
Yeah, interesting. Actor. Now, do you think that's a hint towards a Kline? Catfishing actor?
I don't know.
Interesting.
The investigation continues. I mean, Carter, the other, in one of his last conferences, says there's a lot of tentacles in this case, and this case doesn't fail to get your interest and maintain it. I mean, there's so many twists and turns.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Inbred, for the $2 and supporting the channel. You're awesome. Jumpy Jackass, Steve, do you feel Libby and Abby's DNA was found on Alan's property? Gut feeling.
It's very possible, because now we do have another crime scene possible that if he is the one involved, that he would have had a transfer of their DNA and that he would have brought to his environment. Finding it is extremely difficult, especially 5.5 years later. But they would search for it, and hopefully they found it. If it is that, then the defense attorneys may have missed, and everyone's going to make a lot of hay with that the defense attorney says that there's no evidence, strong evidence. I've never in all my life ever seen a defense attorney walk in and tell the prosecutor, "Hey, you got a great case." We're
right.
Done. They're not going to say that. They're going to minimize it from the get-go.
Sure.
Even for the fact that certain jurors may have access and may see some information about this case, which doesn't get them knocked off the jury pool. But having knowledge and developing an opinion is two different things. So the defense attorney is always going to proclaim that prosecution has little or no evidence.
Yeah. Anna says, bad actor definition and sentence. If KK waited in a red Jeep, and then helped tidy up the scene, KK is a bad actor. Kline Clown Show. That's pretty good. Michelle has a question. In my opinion, there are more involved in this whole ring, but Richard Allen is BG and the killer. I would agree. I definitely think so. No, he did not get bail, Faith. This was just kind of about the probable cause. He will have a hearing for his bond, not until next year. But his bond is still at $2 million. How much? $5 million?
20 million, I think.
20 million. That's right. Yeah, 20 million. Yeah, so he ain't going anywhere unless now, of course, they did release, and let's pull this up here because this kind of goes along with what we're talking about. Let me go back to that. That's the intro. Get rid of that. Share screen 2. Okay. All right. So let me move this over there. And pull up. Let's see. Is it? Okay, no, that's the decorum. Is it this one? Okay, here we go. This is what I want to, because this is something now that he has, a defense. Obviously, I'm assuming some of the first things they're going to do is work on his bail. And so here is just something that they petitioned yesterday. Comes now the accused by counsel, Constitution of the State of Indiana, respectfully moves this court to conduct a hearing and then release the accused on his own recognizance, or in the alternative, to set a reasonable bail. In support of his petition, the accused avers that the following: that the accused, Richard Allen, was arrested and charged for the murder on or about October 28th, that the defense has received and reviewed the probable cause affidavit that, as of the time of the filing of this motion, has been sealed, that because neither the proof of guilt is evident nor the presumption of guilt strong, the accused is seeking a hearing to release the accused on his own recognizance, or in the alternate, to set a reasonable bail. So I guess kind of, and that's by his defense, Andrew Baldwin. So I'm assuming that's just standard procedure.
Absolutely. It's something that probably is mandated, that somewhere's in the rules of law by these attorneys that you have to request that, I would imagine, but maybe not. I don't know, but I wouldn't expect anything less from a defense attorney.
Yeah. Michelle, and I think I tend to agree. In my opinion, Kegan Kline got the girls out there, but didn't know that Richard Allen was going to kill them accessory after the fact. Ooh, that would be interesting. As if it was, he kind of lured him out there. Then, of course, because he's just a recluse, Kline is. That would kind of make sense that he lured him out there and kind of chickened out. And then here you got Richard Allen. Could he still be found guilty for that, though?
Oh, yes. I mean, yeah, there's all different types of things of being accessories and to and conspiracies of. And so, and it all depends on the prosecutor and the grand jury. There's still a lot to go.
Yeah, so he's just setting it up for Richard Allen, but didn't know he was going to kill him. Yeah. Okay. So we've seen that. So just to recap, and then we'll look to see what else is on Twitter. Because I did want to show this if you guys didn't see. This is what I was talking about. Let me zoom in here, which I really think is interesting. So Richard Allen's attorney on revelation in court today that second personally second person possibly involved in Delphi murders. If you read the probable cause, and this is a quote, if you read the probable cause affidavit, it does not mention anything about any other person. That was news to us. I think that's kind of interesting. So if we do get the probable cause, obviously it's not going to give us any answers onto who, if there is another player involved.
Yeah, right now they're scrambling. The defense is going to eat that up, that you're presenting certain information, but you've got other information we don't have, which will all come out in discovery. And so the defense, which gives another out for the defense that we have another person involved that could be a potential offender, that, Richard Allen was just called up in the collateral damage. So defense is going to be jumping all over that.
Yeah. Trina asks, when will the Kline's trial be over? Okay, so now it has been moved to May 10th. I can remember that because that's my birthday. Yeah, it was originally set for January, right? Yeah, because his final pretrial is still, I think, good for December. And then instead of January, now it's May 10th is when it's going to be for Kegan Kline, who now he originally had 20 or 30 charges. He now only has 25 charges. And I think a few of those remaining charges have been amended. So he has obviously cooperated or done some kind of plea agreement. And I think it's definitely involved some maybe kind of ring of people that he kind of helped bring down. Maybe this too. I think we've always kind of felt that he's involved somehow. Jelly Bean, I love that name. Thank you so much for the $4.99. You're so awesome. And thank you so much for supporting the channel. Let's see. So just to kind of recap, Richard Allen, 50 years old, 5'4", 180 pounds, blue eyes, lived in Delphi since basically 2006. Just a little bit of his background. He attended North Miami High School, which is kind of just north of Peru. So if we kind of zoom in here, you can see Peru is here. Now, what's interesting about Peru is you've got the Klines that kind of live in that area there. Now, of course, Kegan would have been, really young. Now, some people think there was a connection that maybe Richard Allen and Tony might have met early on. Now, do keep in mind that Tony is 4 years older than Richard. So I don't think they would have met in like high school because he would have been 4 years out. But maybe after he graduated, he could have after school, maybe there still hasn't found a connection, but it's a possibility. But so then, of course, he was living in, I believe, Mexico during that time or in that area. So some of his classmates say he was pretty quiet and reserved. One childhood friend said he did play Army and traded basketball cards with each other. He did also play baseball, or traded baseball cards, excuse me. And then he also did play baseball. Another classmate said that he tended to walk with his head down, kind of hunched over, kind of a shy, reserved guy. But sometimes he would be the guy that would kind of tell a joke that would be really funny. And we did hear that about some of the fellow employees talk about, he was kind of a funny guy. Ricky grew up with two parents and had a sister. I believe he graduated from North Miami High School. Ricky's grandfather, Homer, was a principal for an elementary school in Indiana. I guess they kind of teased him about that. And then the last thing, which I just kind of talked about, Ricky grew up around Mexico, Indiana, which is northeast of Delphi, which is about 50 miles away. Another thing is he is a smoker, which is interesting because they found cigarette butts at the crime scene. And there's one thing that, because it's been a while since I've had you on. Did you hear about how, okay, now supposedly he came forward, Richard Allen in the beginning, and it's possible that they might not have believed him.
Well, they may not put it. Well, I don't know about the belief, but they didn't put it together, or they overlooked it, or what was the circumstances and situations, and there's a lot to look at on that. What was the reasons of, and who decided on their target board of persons of interest and clearing, pretty much in Homicide 101, anyone that places themselves within a certain proximity of a crime scene, regardless of sex, regardless of age, you have to clear what their reasoning and why they were there and what were their activities that day. Doesn't appear that was the case.
Yeah. Hey, Tom in. Hello, everyone. Hope everyone is having a great Tuesday. Thank you so much, buddy, as always, for your support and the $10. You're amazing. Yes. What was I going to say? There's something that, Tom in, big supporter of the channel, and he's always sending me stuff. So thank you so much for the support, Tom. You're amazing. Bill says, do you think it's strange that there likely was many interviews with KK and only one was leaked? Yeah.
There's a lot of interviews with KK. I mean, up until his attorney stopped him, I'm sure.
Yeah. Yeah. In this day and age, everything leaks. So that is kind of a surprise for sure. And yeah, it is kind of strange. Oh, wait, I saw something. Where'd it go? Diana? Blake says KK's mom was in the same class as Richard Allen. Ooh.
Hadn't heard that.
Interesting. I'll have to look that up. Very interesting. Cat named Hug Ricky, trying to make him sound innocent. So he go by Rick or Ricky. That's kind of his nickname. So that's why I put that in there, is because that's how they knew him in class. So that's why that's what he was known by, as Rick or Ricky. Then of course he would move to from Mexico to Peru, and then eventually to Delphi in 2006. So here's the birth dates. Skip that, but Tony is 4 years older. So then, of course, he is arrested on the 26th, charged on the 28th of October. Some of the stuff that they took from his home was 2 bundles of dark cloth or clothing, a shoebox, a Macy's shopping bag, and they kind of corrected this because people were confused. Because they were wondering if they took actual flash photography items of the shed, and so that's what it is. They took pictures of items that were in the shed. They didn't actually take photos that were in the shed, because people are wondering, did they take photos of flash photography in there, or did they actually just take pictures? And so, yes, they took pictures of the items in the shed. There was also digging around the shed, and then they took the vehicle, which is weird. When I did the background, it shows that he owns the silver Dodge Ram, but I didn't see that in the driveway. I don't know, maybe the wife drives the truck. And of course, we know he worked at CVS. And then before that, he worked at Walmart stores, apparently several Walmart stores. And apparently he had to transfer from one of them because of misconduct. And then, of course, he was the one that printed out the funeral photos for Libby's grandparents. And there's a picture of the home. Let me make sure we got everything. Okay. So there's that. Let me get caught up on the chat. There was just a couple more things I wanted to touch on. We'll see if there's anything else with and Brad family. Been told a lot. District attorney put them in gag order too. Yeah, that's pretty common, I'd assume, with high profile case. Yeah. Did you have to deal with that kind of stuff?
No. I'm trying to think who ever dealt with a gag order, and I don't believe we did. We're Georgia. Indiana and Georgia is two different, obviously. Two
sure.
Different, two different regions and judicial systems.
Yeah.
Don't parallel that much.
Okay, there. Okay, so let's just check Twitter, see if there's anything else out. Not acted alone. Let's pull up this, see if there's anything new. Oh, nothing from that. Okay, so I think we got all the latest, and then we'll just kind of quickly recap for those that might just turn it in. It's this one inside the courtroom. No, we played that. And okay. There was one other video that see if I can find to play real quick. Maybe that shed is Doug's reference to the shack. I can't help but think they have known he was the guy for a while. Maybe. I said, I think it's interesting that he came forward, and this is the video. Quickly find it. Hopefully I have it here. Where they talk about where him coming forward here. Hopefully I got it. Richard Allen, Delphi Murders, dates. Not the one. Let me just quickly look at this here. No, that's not the one. I might erased it. But anyway, it was just kind of just the article going over just how he had came forward. God, that might have been the murder sheet. It was from Wish 8, though. Let's see if I can pull up that article real quick. But are you going live later today?
Yes, we'll be going live. Let's see, 8 o'clock tonight. And of course, we'll be covering this and for tonight, and be going into whatever the full day's reports are. Hopefully, some more information will come out, and hopefully, we'll at a minimum get that redacted version. I mean, the judge can always release more, and a quick judgment would be just right now to say, okay, well, the prosecution offered this, so let's get that out there to start with, and then they can always release more. I'm hoping that's what the court decides to do as soon as possible.
Okay, so that's his Richard Allen's attorney, one of them there. Okay, so that's pretty much it. Let me get back up to the top here. So, but thank you so much for the $5, Tom. I never actually saw the shack. Did you see the shack?
Yes.
Oh, did you?
Yes. It's a religious based movie, and very interesting and well done. I enjoyed
Was it?
Yes, I enjoyed
Okay,
it.
I heard mixed reviews on it, so I was kind of hesitant to watch it, but that's interesting. Okay, so let's hide that. But yeah, man, such a man, it still feels so surreal being here. Catch this real quick. I think the arrest took so long because they don't have sufficient evidence and had no way to draw a probable cause affidavit until now. Yeah, I think it definitely depends on. I'm curious what led them, because they said that they were going back through old files and documents, and what was that file or document that raised the red flags for them to go, oh hey,
Yeah, I mean, it could actually have worked out that way, that you did have a new set of eyes that looked on it, and as I was discussing earlier, that who all was within that circle or placed themselves there that day, and who all have we looked at in depth and have cleared, and what has occurred since then. And so that may have been the thing that pinned the tail on the donkey of being Mr. Allen to be looked into. And we just don't know currently.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Tom. And yeah, I saw that earlier. I meant to mention that. Chris, my B-Day is on May 9th. That's awesome. Thank you so much for the $2. So yeah, I will remember that for sure. Day before mine. That's awesome. What's up, Leo girls? Good to see you. Hello, chats. One more thing I wanted to recap on, and I can't remember what it was. A lot of people are still mentioning the limp. I don't think BG has a limp. For those that are maybe newer to the case, let me. Oops, hold on. Switch it over. Now you can see it. That's something I meant to do, and I think I can recreate it because I think I've got some videos where I'm walking, but it's just because it's 48 frames that when they literally, what they did is they took a step from each leg, and when they switch it so it's back, when they loop it at such a weird time that it looks like he goes to limp, and that it's just because of the loop. But if you watch it in slow motion, and then keep in mind he's going over these trussels that are, and also I think he's kind of starting to change direction, but I don't think he's got a limp. That was always something that people, when you watch it just kind of slow motion, the limp kind of goes away. But when you go back to normal, it's because of that little stutter there that it makes it look like he's got a limp. And that's
I was at the bridge last week or week before. I'm still recovering from my trip, and they're disassembling it now. They're taking the cross ties off. I couldn't get across it. And,
so are they repairing it, or?
I don't know what they're doing to it, but I know that they probably a 30 or 40 foot section of cross ties has been removed.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I figured they wouldn't do anything until after, it's all over. I thought maybe they would, sometimes they bring the jurors to the scene of the crime. I mean, I guess a bridge is not really,
Which brings up a point, like I always do, Chris. After the show, remind me to mention about that again, and what about the missing cross ties. Thought this occurred to me.
Oh, okay. Yeah, the walk around the pool table is very telling. Yeah, I'm trying to see if I can. I wish there was some better audio and better video of him that we could find, because I really feel like I could match up some stuff. But yeah, I think definitely having the head down speaks volumes, especially just like the classmate said, that, he typically, was reserved and was kind of hunched over. What do we see here? Just still a little surprised on the height, but there's so many factors with, with people going out there and trying to estimate how tall he was.
Well, I mean, I think that's on his driver's license. Plus, it lines up with what the block wall is, if that's correct. So we'll see.
Yeah.
I mean, really, unless there's something that absolutely proves and they've been able to say that the other actor, and we have more than one, who is the other actor and where is, how, and what part did they play?
Yeah. Before we go, because we're going to end it here in a little bit, because I forgot to, because we just jumped right into this. But we always like to feature the missing, so I forgot to do it in the beginning. So before we go, this is Delano Burks, 26-year-old African American. He went missing on on the 13th of this month. He was last seen leaving a bar on 1200 block of West 20th Street in Houston, Texas. So that is Delano. And here's just kind of a picture of him. I guess he was bar hopping that night, and he has not been seen since. So anybody in Houston, please keep a lookout for Delano. He is 26 years old. So hopefully they find him. So there is that. Got maybe a few more minutes if you guys want ask me or Steve a question. See if we can snag up a couple. Oh, I saw one that I was going to do. And we've got something for the members later today. Hopefully I should have it done. Oh, and Steve, yes. So for those that are newer to the channel, we have Steve as our special guest from True Crime Web. He goes live 3 to 4 times a week.
Typically, it's Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday.
Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. And that's at 8 p.m. Eastern?
Yes, 8 o'clock. And we generally run anywhere from an hour and 15 minutes.
Awesome. Yeah, you're like me. I like to try to keep it kind of short and sweet. I apologize for earlier. StreamYard is not my favorite thing to work with. I like my Streamlabs. I have everything. I don't have to worry about audio issues ever. That's the biggest thing I hate about StreamYard. Thank you so much, Tom. See you at 7, Steve. Yes. If you guys are huge into Delphi, as you guys know, here's just kind of if you're newer to my channel, I not only cover crime, but I do go out and do kind of experiments. This was one of the many times I went and tried to dress up as BG. I did it many times and was trying to recreate what he may be wearing that day. I've gone back and forth on hoodie and the fanny pack thing, but I think now I'm set with the fanny pack just because of just when you actually wear the actual stuff, it's and then the way it's kind of got some volume to it makes me think that that's more likely some kind of fanny pack or deer kit, or even some kind of gun holster. So Steve, what is your most common way perp does? What is most common way perp does with weapon? In your experience, what is most common way perp does with weapon?
are they asking about control? If you want absolute control, of course, the weapon of choice would be a firearm. Knives are very personal. Hands-on is very personal. But a weapon is, far more likely that if you're a single offender, or that if you want to control more than one potential victim, you will have to have a firearm. And is that the case in this one? I believe there was a firearm involved in it. We don't know exactly how the victims died, but there's strong indication it was from a edged weapon. And so our offenders brought at least both of those, in my opinion.
Yep, I agree 100%. This is my take on it, just because, like I said, I went out and did a bunch of controlled tests. I feel like he's got it kind of tucked under his little jacket right here, and he's just about to brandish it. That's why it's only 1 second clip, 48 frames. Thank you so much, Inbred. Get my mouse over here. Tom says there's a lawyer from Indiana that has a YouTube channel, explains the seal and bail hearing. Mark Lopez. All right, thank you so much, Tom, for the $5. Yeah, that's somebody. Maybe I can reach out to him. I'd love to have somebody. I've got Steve with law enforcement. It'd be nice to have somebody that's. And I mean, a lot, of course, on the when it comes to the law. It'd be nice to have a lawyer as well to explain some of these things that have been happening.
Yeah, I'd like to hear a lawyer too, because the way they think is totally different than the way law enforcement thinks.
For sure.
Yeah. They have a very strange perspective of certain definitions.
Yeah. You should hit him up to share some of his content or have him come on the show. That we just talked about that. Yep. Thanks, buddy, for the $10 or $5. Yeah. I believe the limp is Ari's walk, is him maintaining balance when he uses his right arm to remove his weapon. If it looks like his right arm is moving, if you replay. Yeah, I definitely think he's about to brandish the weapon. And let's see. Oh, I'm originally from that area. My best friend's an EMT there, and her hubby is a fireman. They told me that one of the details being withheld from the public is that both girls. Oh, oops! I should have read that before. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah. Oh, that's terrible. Dispose his weapon.
It depends on what, it is possible. And I mean, you see it often that a lot of times you do have people that they separate themselves from everything from the crime that was used in the crime. Their clothing, they destroy or dump it. And then of course they do the same with their weapons. So, but then you have some of them that will maintain and keep certain trophies from the crime scene. His personality type, the behavioral science unit, whatever that classification is, they'd have a clearer understanding, because we don't have access to what the crime scene tells that behavioral science unit of what type of personality he is.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe he kept whatever he had. I definitely think there's DNA or some. This is just my opinion. I really think there's some kind of animal hair that was at the crime scene, and as you can see, there was the cat laying on him. I would not be surprised, just because I have cats and know how much they leave hair behind. It would be a stretch that whatever he had on that day had some cat hair, and he brought that to the crime scene with him, and that could have been one of his downfalls. They could have buried the pet back by the shed and could have done a DNA test on it. So let's just recap real quick for those before we go. So So he was at the hearing. He did show up. I'll just play a little video of him there if you missed it. Him walking in. Time. Oh, there it is. Here's Richard walking in. Of course, he's got bulletproof vest on. They said that he seemed kind of curious, had no problem kind of scanning the courtroom while they were in court. He looked at the victim's family. And then, they're just replaying that. Let's see. Okay, so that's it. But yeah, and then so the probable cause affidavit, I can speak, will probably be released. Sounds like it, but it'll be redacted. It won't have the witnesses. Their identity will be, which is interesting. Witnesses. I wonder what witnesses. Because they did use that word, right?
I don't know. I have to see that context again.
Yeah. Huh. I think that kind of gives away something. I can see if I could find the wording on that. Or was that in the video? It might have said that in the video, but and then let's see, what was the other thing? Oh yeah, the prosecution thinks that there's more, and this is the prosecution saying this, that Richard Allen may have not acted alone, which I think is really huge. Here's the article. This is new from Fox. Let's see if there's anything. Then he's got a bail hearing set for February 17th. And if the affidavit is, the PC affidavit's going to come out. They don't know when, but could be in a few days. But it sounded like they felt like the judge is going to go over it, and they feel like it's most likely possible that they will release it with some redaction to it. Okay, I think, did I get that? The fact that the weapon had, that he had a weapon with him screams premeditated. Yeah, that's true. The prosecution wants to hold the seal because others involved. Yeah, but now this is the thing, is this is the other thing that we learned, is in the affidavit, it does not mention any other parties involved. And that's what the defense attorney was just quoted saying. He thought that was really odd. Yet the prosecution is saying it's so backwards. That is so backwards.
And the prosecution may clear that up. I don't know. I mean, you sat in court. I don't know how you would clear that up.
Yeah. So recap. The prosecution thinks there's somebody else involved, but the PC affidavit has witnesses in there, but they're going to be redacted. But if there's others involved, it's not in the PC affidavit, is what the defense attorney for Richard Allen said. So it's huge. So just more confusion, I guess.
Yeah.
Let's just release it. I mean, Carter literally said he don't feel like it's going to hurt the case. I understand keeping it sealed or redacted for, the witnesses, of course, to protect their identity. So
I'm surprised the defense didn't have Carter there as a witness.
Yeah. So, thank you so much, Inbred Outcast. Thank you guys, everybody, Michelle, Tom, just everybody for being here. And then for those that donated, you guys are amazing. Any last words, Steve?
No.
Final thoughts, buddy?
No, other than it didn't fail to disappoint as far as a new twist and the anticipation of what's to come. And we're going to get something. Everybody just have to, the courts are going to do the right thing that is best for the case, and we just have to bear with that. And they're going to make sure it's a fair trial for the defendant and a fair trial for the prosecution. And that's all that we can ask of our court systems.
Yeah. Just reading some final things here. Like I said, I appreciate everybody. It's kind of early, and I'm sorry for the slow start there. Whenever I use StreamYard, it's a little messy at first. I think MS is getting a lot of false information. Most of the info that came out with the last 3 months has turned out to be not true. I have a theory on that, Tom. In my opinion, I'll share a little bit with you. I think it was done on purpose. And I think I'm going to probably do that for a members only show. And like I said, this is all just speculation, but I feel like that information with Kline supposedly confessing, I feel like that was law enforcement working with them to kind of like a ruse or something that we still don't fully understand. I don't know. That's just my opinion, but I can't see them building such a household name so fast and then to do that kind of stuff. That's just my opinion. But thank you so much for the $5. But yeah. So let's see, anything else? So like I said, Steve is my guest today. I'm sure my mods could put his link is also in the description. If you want to go sub to his channel, please do. He is amazing, and he also covers Delphi. And he's also going to be working on some cold cases. I can't see too much, but he's got some projects coming up aside from Delphi, which I'm really excited for. And maybe in the near future, me and him are going to get together if the stars align. So that'd be a lot of fun, because on this channel, not only do we cover murder cases, but we're trying to go out and actually make a difference and help. As you can see behind Steve, he's already doing that. And I've been trying to find Dylan Rounds, and there's some other cases that I'd like to get involved into to help out. So with that said, guys, I love you. Steve, I'll put you backstage if you want to say goodbye.
All right.
See you, buddy. And so I will have something for the members hopefully tonight, and then we'll be back live maybe tomorrow. I might even go live later today if there's something with the Idaho students, because I think there was a small update, nothing huge, but they still haven't caught the killer. But we'll keep an eye on that, because that's a pretty crazy case that's developing. So thank you guys so much. Thank you, mods. Law enforcement is pulling a lot of magic on this case. Look at one hand while the other hand is working the magic. Could be. I just hope that affidavit comes out so we can really start kind of putting the puzzles together. So thank you so much, Tom. You're awesome. And yeah, I will have to check out that other channel for sure. Thank you, Joycatcher. Thank you, mods, Michelle, Freya. I wish I could shout everybody out. You guys are awesome. Thank you, Cynthia. You guys are amazing. Have a wonderful day. Let me get my outro ready for you guys. I think it's on to Pet 3. Okay, guys, we might see you later. Have a safe and wonderful Tuesday.